It was an ordinary school day, until a van pulled up beside a little girl. Just as she was about to step inside, a police K9 lunged, stopping her cold. What seemed like aggression at first turned into the most heroic act. What the dog exposed. Behind the wheel shocked everyone. The morning air was crisp, sunlight spilling across the quiet neighborhood as children laughed and skipped along the sidewalks after school. Among them was a little girl, clutching her pink backpack straps as she walked alone, humming a tune. Just ahead, a white van slowed to a crawl. Its engine purred low, almost too soft to notice, until it rolled up beside her. The driver leaned out with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Hey there," he said casually. "Need a ride home? Your parents asked me to pick you up." His voice was calm, but something about it carried an edge, a wrongness hidden behind the friendly words. The girl froze, torn between politeness and fear. She glanced around, but the street had grown quiet. The van door slid open with a groan, and the man motioned for her to step inside. Her small feet hesitated on the curb, unaware that danger was just inches away. Just as the girl lifted one hesitant foot toward the van, a sharp bark split the air. A blur of black and tan lunged from the corner of the street. A police K9, his vest gleaming in the sunlight. With teeth bared and fur bristling, he planted himself firmly between the child and the open door. The girl gasped, stumbling backward, eyes wide with fear. To her, it seemed the dog had suddenly turned on her, blocking her path with growls that rattled the air. Onlookers across the street froze, unsure of what was happening. Whispers rose. Why is the dog attacking her? Is she in danger? From the K9. Panic flickered through the crowd as the shepherd refused to budge, but the dog's gaze wasn't on the child. It was locked on the man behind the wheel. His growls deepened, his body tense like a coiled spring. The driver shifted, uncomfortably, sweat beading his brow as he muttered angrily at the officers nearby. "Get this dog off me." Yet the K9 held his ground, unshaken. The man's friendly mask cracked. His voice grew harsher as he leaned out of the van, shouting, "Control that animal before he hurts someone." His hand gripped the door handle tightly, his knuckles pale, while his eyes darted nervously toward the circling K9. Every instinct told him the dog knew something he desperately wanted hidden. The shepherd lunged forward, teeth snapping inches from the man's arm. Officers rushed in, trying to calm the situation, but the K9 resisted every command to retreat. His growls weren't random. They were targeted, deliberate, and unwavering. Each bark echoed like an alarm, warning of danger no one else could yet see. The girl clung to a bystander, trembling, unsure whether to cry or run. The driver slammed the van door shut, but the K9 clawed at it, refusing to let the vehicle move. The tires screeched as the man tried to pull away, yet the dog leapt again, blocking the path with fearless determination. Confusion filled the air, but one thing was certain. This wasn't just disobedience. The K9 was exposing something sinister. The officers exchanged uneasy glances. They had worked with this K9 for years, trusting his instincts in every operation. He had detected drugs hidden beneath false floors, tracked fugitives through miles of forest, and even located missing children when hope was almost gone. If he was reacting this fiercely now, it meant only one thing: danger. The shepherd circled the van, nose pressed against the metal, barking with renewed urgency. His body stiffened near the driver's side, his tail rigid, ears pinned back. He wasn't warning them of the child. He was warning them of the man inside. The officers' hesitation melted into action as they stepped forward, hands on their weapons, their voices sharp. "Sir, turn off the engine and step out of the vehicle." The driver's jaw tightened, his eyes narrowing. "This is ridiculous," he spat, fumbling with the keys. But sweat streamed down his temples, betraying his calm facade. The K9 lunged again, paws striking the door, growls rattling through the van. The officers knew then, whatever he had detected, it was something dark, something hidden. The driver reluctantly climbed out, muttering under his breath, but the K9's growls only intensified. Officers opened the van door cautiously, their flashlights sweeping across the dim interior. At first glance, it looked like an ordinary vehicle, until the beam of light revealed a chilling sight. Coiled ropes lay bundled on the floor, alongside duct tape, gloves, and a black hood. Gasps broke from the onlookers. One officer reached further inside, pulling out a folder stuffed with photographs, maps, and unsettling notes. The driver's fake smile was gone, replaced with a pale mask of panic. Within seconds, his hands were cuffed behind his back. "You don't understand," he shouted, but his voice trembled, cracking under the weight of exposure. The truth spread like fire. Among the crowd, this wasn't just a harmless stranger. He was a wanted criminal tied to multiple abduction attempts in neighboring towns. The K-9 hadn't just stopped a girl from entering a van. He had stopped a predator from striking again. The revelation left the entire street in stunned silence. The little girl stood frozen, clutching her backpack straps so tightly her knuckles turned white. Moments earlier, she had believed the man's gentle tone, his friendly smile. Now, with the truth exposed, the realization washed over her. She had been seconds away from stepping into a trap she might never have escaped. Her parents arrived in a frenzy, rushing through the crowd the moment they heard the news. The mother dropped to her knees, pulling the trembling child into her arms, tears streaming down her face. "You're safe," she whispered over and over, her voice breaking. The father's eyes turned to the K-9, gratitude overflowing as he choked out, "That dog saved our daughter's life." The girl buried her face against her mother's shoulder, but peeked out to see the shepherd standing tall, his chest heaving, his eyes still locked on the van. Slowly, she reached out a trembling hand toward him. The dog's growl softened into a whine as he stepped closer, resting his head gently against her palm. Parents whispered in shock. Teachers called one another, and neighbors stood in small clusters on their porches, reliving what had unfolded before their eyes. The thought that such danger had been hiding in plain sight sent chills down spines, but the fear was quickly replaced with awe. Conversations shifted to the German shepherd, the brave K-9 who had seen what no human could. Children who once crossed the street in nervousness around the police dog now spoke his name with reverence. They pointed at him in admiration, saying, "That's the hero who saved the little girl." The police department held a small gathering the very next day. Officers stood proud beside their K-9 partner, retelling how his instincts had prevented a tragedy. Applause erupted from the crowd, parents wiping tears as they hugged their children tighter. The dog sat calmly at his handler's side, unaware of the legend he had just become. In the weeks that followed, the K-9 story reached far beyond the town. Newspapers called him a hero, television crews arrived to capture his tale, and social media lit up with his image, a noble shepherd whose courage saved a child from the unthinkable. His loyalty had become more than a moment. It was a message, a special ceremony. The little girl stood beside the officers as the K-9 received a Medal of Honor. She clung to her parents, smiling through tears as the crowd applauded. The dog didn't understand the speeches or the flashing cameras, but he sensed the warmth, the gratitude in every hand that reached to pat his fur. To him, it was simple. He had protected the innocent, just as he was trained, and just as his heart demanded. As the sun set that evening, the handler whispered, "Good boy, you saved her." The shepherd's tail wagged, steady and proud. His legacy was clear. When instincts are trusted and loyalty is honored, miracles happen.